Yes, good morning, everyone. Hope it's all right. Welcome to the Last Word Live here at the hotel room in the good old Ibis, just up outside of London. Hope you're doing all right, everyone. Welcome to the Last Word, which we are live, as I say. We are live on YouTube and we're live on Twitch. Do get your comments coming in. We'll be going through yesterday's game. We've also got a lot of clips as well. It's not like we'll have a look at some graphics as we go through it as well. But yeah, welcome, everyone. Right then, hope you're keeping well this morning. Hope you've all recovered after watching Newcastle get beat yesterday. Game of two halves, literally, wasn't it? But right, let's get cracking then. So obviously going into the game, there was a lot of good feel atmosphere. Some of our regulars, which people who are listening, it's on screen. A video is playing, and that's Jackson, one of Johnny's close pals. So loves to get in the into the ring of the atmosphere. Same as the Sullys, and there's Elliot there as well. A fair play at the Sullys. They go to nearly every single home and away game, similar like myself. So fair play, and they come from Wales, by the way, to do that, which is incredible. And they're fully enjoying the atmosphere. And look, it was an atmosphere ganning in, and on in behind the ground and outside, and a lot of Newcastle fans felt optimistic. I felt speaking to everybody that we should at least get a point here today and go on and win. And obviously, a little Mickey take of Mikel Arteta there as well. It was all good spirits, you know what I mean? And it's a bit of friendly banter. Some people can't take it more than that, surely. Some people can. But yeah, everybody thought, we're going into this game, we could beat these, And in all honesty, looking at, you talk about the first half, you've really got to think like Newcastle should have gone on to score there. And I think if Newcastle scored, it would have been a different game, but we'll come to that in a minute. Do keep your comments coming in. I'm going to read them coming back and forth. I'll read them back at half time as well. But we've got a couple that's just dropped in. Connor says the main thing is in our hands on the last day. How are the lads? Geordie Toonflight, Morning Lee, yes, there's not the end of the world. We'll beat Everton next Sunday. That's the positives. I totally agree with you to come out with that. We'll touch upon Everton towards the end as well. But let's have a look at the lineup. Obviously, the big news was there was no Alexander Isak in the starting 11. He's got a minor groin injury. Eddie Howe was asked about him. Is he going to be okay for next weekend? Can't say 100% for definite, but the likelihood is if it's just been a slight groin, they didn't want to risk him, as the Everton game, of course, now is effectively was second biggest game of the season after the cup final. But there you go. It was the same back five. Very, very surprised to see Sven Bottom make it. A few journalists, in particular Luke Edwards, saying that it's he's out for the season. So got that wrong, didn't he? But there's your back five. Anthony Gordon on the right, Harvey Barnes on the left, Callum Wilson coming in, of course. And that meant with Wilson coming in the starting lineup, there was an extra place on the bench, which was the return of Joe Willock. But there you go. Five at the back. Are you any surprised with that? I think if Botman didn't make it, I think that starting lineup changes for me. I think it goes to a flat back four, and I think Emil Kraft will come in at right back, and then you push Murphy further on. But that's the Newcastle United lineup. And look, Arsenal do have a couple of injuries. So do Newcastle as well. Just off the top of my head, you've got Lewis Hall would normally play there. Joe Linton would normally play. Alexander Isak. When they look at that starting lineup and don't say Isak, they're like this. They are, let's be honest, because he's a world-class striker and you're dropping a couple of levels down to Callum Wilson, aren't you? Because Wilson, I don't feel, in particular this season, is the player that we had 18 months or so ago. But look, I think Wilson can do a job for you. But in terms of reliability of his injuries, we all know. It's a broken record, isn't it? It is a broken record. So, player warm-ups going into the first half then. How many chances do Newcastle want to create? And David Raya, the amount of times that he saved Arsenal, Gomes, Dan Burn header, Harvey Barnes deflected shot just springs to mind as well. Oh, and it's just, come on, Newcastle, go and score. But we didn't, And the fans were the fans stuck behind the team, very optimistic, cheering them on. I was at the back. It looks a little bit empty, but that's only just because everyone doubled up and went down near the front. That's why. But look, we should have scored. Let's not kid ourselves. We were the better team first half. Arsenal did have a couple of chances very close together. Nick Pope with an absolute brilliant save, it has to be said. Sticking his hand out was a class save, and the chance just went wide as well, didn't it? But all honesty, Newcastle, without a shadow of a doubt, were the better side first half. And it's that old saying, isn't it? If you don't go and score, it will come back and haunt you. And it did come back and haunt Newcastle United second half. So we've got to score. We're on top, and it could be a different story if Alexander Isak was fit. Possibly. Let's have a look at your chat as well. Graham says, Morning Lee, hope you are well. Two very close match sides. They took the chance we didn't. The future's bright. Roll on Sunday. Paul, nice to say, Paul. One thing that came from yesterday is that Wilson can't be offered a new contract. An alternative must be sought in the transfer market. It's a very good point. Obviously, Wilson is a free agent, and so are the two of the goalkeepers, the only three that are left in the whole squad. Kev Bell's gone on to say went and give it a go. We failed to do even that so many times in the past. Our hesitation and lack of quality in the final third sometimes is so frustrating, though, an area we have to address. And Alan's gone on to say it's disappointing, but a point would have left us needing a win on Sunday, so it's still... Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make as well. A draw doesn't really help Newcastle out because we still had to go on and beat Everton at the weekend anyways. Matt, good morning to you. Hope you're doing all right. Brighton Chelsea results keeps us in our hands, which we're more than happy with. And Darren goes on to say, morning all. Well, we'll look at the league table because I do have the graphic coming up very, very shortly for that as well. So into the second half, and Arsenal go and score, and it was just Anthony Gordon. It's sloppy, but it wasn't just the first time that Anthony Gordon was sloppy. Since he's come back from his injury after, the suspension and the injury from England, for me, it hasn't been the same. It's just something that looks a bit off with him. But can't take it away. He gives the ball away. It's a hell of a finish. Can't deny that. Great finish at the corner from Declan Rice. Fantastic goal. The technique is unbelievable. But you don't give the ball away. Arsenal don't score. And Arsenal fans next to us are starting to pipe up, which we'll do. I'll come back to that very, very shortly because that was quite a quiet section of their home. And I'm guessing that's probably a lot of just match tickets rather than season ticket holders. But they're letting us know that obviously they've gone on and score. But yeah, good finish by Declan Rice, but it could have been prevented. It really could have. It's a bit concerning with Gordon. I thought he was bright at second half, don't get me wrong, but going forward, that is, because I didn't see enough of him in the first half. I thought Barnes in the first half was brighter than Gordon, but the roles changed second half, although Gordon did give the ball away. And look, as I say, it's a great finish. You have to say that. And Arsenal 1-0 up, but still plenty of time to come back. And obviously, Eddie Howe makes a few changes. He's not happy with what's going on out there. He changed the system. Obviously, he went with 5 originally, as we talked about at the top of the last word here. And then he changes it, and then he goes to 4 at the back with the triple sub. Kraft then comes on, moves to right back. Murphy went off. Lewis Miley came on, and Will Asula came on. Seen a few comments last night about Will Asula. You should start him next weekend. I personally wouldn't. I think the magnitude of this game, it's for... If you can service Wilson, if you can get chances created, I would prefer Wilson at being that number 9 than Will Asula. Will Asula, bring him on later, left, right, through the middle. Great, no bother, no questions. But to start him, not for me. Not of this magnitude for me. There's not enough evidence. He's raw, he's unpredictable, but for me, there's not enough evidence from... I don't want him to be the scapegoat if Newcastle don't pick up 3 points next weekend if we have 2 or 3 chances. Easy chances, because Nan the lad, he'll probably fluff them, but he'll score worldy. That's what Will Asula's capable of. But not for me. I would have Wilson, although Wilson was poor. I just feel like the game is possibly, and maybe I'm being discredited Will Asula because I think he is raw. But look, there's several players in that second half, and which, as I say, we changed it to 4 at the back. For me, it didn't really change anything. I thought Bruno was trying to do the most out of the attacking threat in that second half. He got his foot in. I thought he was one of our Newcastle's better players, and obviously, and I said this in one of the videos that I put out in the early hours last night, that Tino Livramento scoring the players that did it. Actually, Tino Livramento's were best attacking option. I mean, that's alarm bells in itself, isn't it? Can't have that next week. If your left wing back is your best attacking option, there's a concern there, especially with Isak. If Isak doesn't make it, Livramento was the best player on the pitch. He's main man of the match, followed by Bruno and probably Nick Pope, to be honest with you. But because I didn't think anyone else really played well. But Livramento cutting in, he's capable of going past players. Even in that second half where he kept the ball in on the byline to stop it from being a goal kick was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But brilliant for him, but it's a bit concerning. So we don't want our left wing back or right wing back being our best attacking option next weekend against Everton because we're not going to score goals. We aren't. So Newcastle obviously then lose the game. A little bit of flurry towards the end, wasn't it? Had a couple of half chances. Obviously, Ben White had a chance for Arsenal. It just went wide early on the game. Bit of needle in the game as well. With and it's not the first time with Dan Burn. Obviously, Kai Havertz come on and he gets a yellow card for his elbow. They've got a bit of history between them. But it's just I'm frustrated because I think Newcastle should have got something from today's game. I really am. But let's have a look at what you are saying in the live chat before we hear from Eddie Howe. We do need a second striker, says Matt. It was more consistently reliable. Wilson has scored a lot of goals for us, but not as reliable as backup to Isak anymore, and Asula still a bit raw. Alan's gone and Anthony Gordon's going down too easily, and refs aren't buying it at all anymore. I agree with you, Alan. I thought it was a few times during the game. Graham's gone and say 4 or 5 quality additions needed for us to compete at the top end. And Eddie has galvanised half a squad and raised expectations. Keep it real, we're getting there. Thank you for your efforts this season, Lee, lads and lasses. Thank you, Calvin. And Matt's gone to say it again. Agree with Wilson starting if Isak doesn't, if the service is there, because hopefully he can go out on a high. Got to hope Isak starts though. That'll be a bit nervy waiting for that lineup. And Ole's gone on to say, I think Isak is still not fit. Asula should start. He makes the defender shake all the time. I think Asula makes himself shake, to be honest with you, Ollie. But look, he's unpredictable as I say. But disappointing. But look, we'll hear from Eddie Howe now about Newcastle United losing 1-0 at the Emirates.
We didn't take our chances today. The good thing is that we did have them, and we had a number of them, especially in that first half. A really strong start to the game, really good energy about the team, and a lot of quality. I thought we looked a threat in most phases when we had the ball for sustained periods, but also on transitions. Frustrated that we didn't go into half-time leading, and then a bit of a slow start at the beginning of that second half put us on the back foot. But again, I didn't think Arsenal were really hurting us with chances until Declan Rice scores a great goal. The crowd came into the game and Arsenal started with good energy. We were a bit flat and passive at the beginning of that second period, but I thought we'd weathered the storm. I thought we were okay. I think it was a great goal. I mean, yes, I can critique us and say we could have done a little bit better in certain bits, but it's an unbelievable finish. And then we're chasing the game, and I thought we chased the game pretty well. I thought the lads were intelligent, but it just wouldn't go in today. We know what we have to do, and that's easier said than done. We have to keep very calm, I think, and focus on the game and not get too emotional at this stage. We know it's going to be big. It's going to be big for everybody, but we love playing at home. Our home form's been really good.
So that was Eddie Howe just talking briefly about Everton and towards the end, which we'll come on to now because it's tight, the Premier League. All Newcastle have to do next weekend is win. If they win, they're guaranteed Champions League football. A draw, that'll be nervy, especially with the signal in St James's Park, not the greatest, to be honest with you. So, because no one's got signal in, especially in the east end of the Gallagher, you haven't got a TV screen to look at either. So it will be nervy next week. Obviously, it's been billed that Jordan Pickford's going to come and spoil the party. Hopefully that's not the case. But Newcastle just simply have to win. We don't care how it wins. It would be nice if the pressure was off and we go on and put up performance, but all honestly, I couldn't care less. I just want Newcastle to win next weekend. Of course, Newcastle are guaranteed to finish at least 6 because Chelsea and Forest have to play each other who are underneath us. So that's more or less guaranteed Newcastle will be top 6, but we don't want top 6. We want top 5. No, we didn't want top 6. We want top 5. But look, It's all next week, isn't it? It's all or nothing for us. There's a lot of obviously games this week. Obviously, got the Europa League final, which is a bit of a joke in itself. That one of them two are going to be in the Champions League. So there'll be 6 teams in the Champions League next season, which is just crack as it's mental. And obviously, hope Newcastle are one of those. Let's have a look at the league table. Then, if you listen on the audio, I'll describe it. So Liverpool, obviously champions with 83 points. And then Arsenal, which I'll come back to that in a minute. Arsenal are second because they were celebrating that they finished second on 71 points. Then it gets really tight because Newcastle are on 66 in third place. Fourth, Chelsea, 66. Fifth, Aston Villa, 66. Man City on 65 points just outside the Champions League. But what's important to remember is Man City are going to play Bournemouth on Tuesday, tomorrow. That's one we've got to keep an eye on. We'll go and assume that Man City win that. We'll just assume that City win that. That'll take them above us. And of course, Forest on 65. So currently at the moment, it's only 1 point between 5 teams. It's so tight, but and our Bournemouth out a tricky side, but we'll say Man City win that. And then it leaves 2 from 4 for me. Obviously, Chelsea and Forest have a shootout between the two of them. Forest basically have to win. If Forest get a point, they can't catch Newcastle because of the goal difference. And if Villa get beat as well at the same time, Newcastle will qualify for the Champions League. I mean, these are if, buts and maybes, but let's be honest, just win the game. If you win the game, you haven't got to worry about all the other results. So, but if it comes to that, where we don't win the game, maybe we draw or something, then we are going to look at other results. Of course we are. Because it's the last game of the season. We're at home. Lap of appreciation. You want to be celebrating. Yes, Jordan Pickford's coming to town. He'll do everything in his power to try and stop that. But that league table is so blooming tight, man, isn't it? But it's interesting. It's kind of be nervy. All the emotions next Sunday, which is a 4:00 kickoff, and all the games kick off at the same time. We'll have a look at the fixtures in just a second, who everyone's playing. But just going back to the bit of bite between Arsenal and in Newcastle. So obviously, a few of the fans dressed up as Arteta with a plastic ball, bit of banter. And then they were biting at, do you know the Bruno song? Oh, Bruno's fucking magic. He wears a magic hat. He could have signed for all. And right, so basically, and then a few of the Arsenal fans were biting at that. I'm like, that's just banter. Sound like Richard Keys there, didn't I? It's just basically a bit of banter. And then when they scored, they were literally singing a few times, because as you've seen on the match vlog, I'm right next to the Arsenal fans. Second again, ole ole. I'm like, you're celebrating winning nothing again. So that's when the Newcastle fans, 1 or 2 fans, were getting a little bit carried away, going right up to the barrier and going, you win for goal, you win for all this sort of stuff, right? And it's just there is a bit of banter to it. Sometimes Arsenal kind of take it. But I actually do think there's a bit of needle in it, especially with the players. You've seen with Kai Havertz when he came on. Dan Burn and Kai Havertz have history at Chelsea and when he was at Arsenal. And he should have been sent off from that 1-0 win a couple of seasons ago, the controversial win. But the bit of needle between the players, we've played each other 4 times towards the end of the game. Dan Burn getting involved as well. Just be careful, because I was a bit tad worried that he might flash another second yellow. Mr. Hooper, the referee, but no, we didn't. But there is a little bit of needle. I wouldn't say there's a rivalry, but there is a bit of spike to the game, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But Arsenal fans celebrating that they've come second again was a bit worrying, considering if you want to be an elite club and celebrating coming second again. I found that odd. I did find it really, really odd. Let's have a look at the fixtures, who everyone has this weekend. So Bournemouth, obviously still playing for 8th place. Fulham playing Man City, so obviously we'll be keeping an eye. Of course, naturally, we'll be keeping an eye on that one if Newcastle aren't winning. So Fulham do still have something to play for, which is a positive for us. Ipswich versus West Ham, which is a dead rubber. Liverpool Palace, which is a dead rubber. Man United versus Villa. Obviously, this will be after the Europa League final, so hopefully Man United play a strong side for the last game of the season. Obviously, us will play Everton. And then I mentioned earlier the shootout, Forest versus Chelsea. Southampton Arsenal is a dead rubber. Spurs versus Brighton. I think Brighton still have potentially 8th place to play for. And then Wolves versus Brentford. I think Brentford still have 8th place to play for as well. So still a lot riding on the European places, isn't there? There is, but let's have a look at your live chat before we have a look at what the journalists have seen as well. Simi's gone on to say, demoralising performance. Willock and Gordon are really peeing me off. At least Wilson has an excuse. His legs are gone and he isn't at Premier League level anymore. And Alan's gone on to say, the Geordie nation awaits news on Isaac's groin, but I doubt we'll know anything until the team sheets on Sunday, unless Eddie Howe drops a hint in a press conference on Friday, potentially, Alan. That might be one point to look at. Matt's gone on to say recent seasons have been a lot of bite between Arsenal and Newcastle on and off the pitch. It makes it interesting to me with my brother and best mate being Arsenal fans. Ooh, tasty. Very, very tasty. If you want to get your comment in, because we're coming towards the end of the last word, this also gets put on audio as well. So if you're out and about with podcasts and stuff like that, this gets put on the podcast mode as well on all the audio platforms. But let's have a look at what the journals are saying. We've selected 3 this week, which is Keith Downey, Luke Edwards and Craig Hope. After the loss to Arsenal, Downey's went on to say, well, it goes to the last day of the season. Newcastle will be kicking themselves today because they had multiple chances in the first half but couldn't find a way past Ria. That left the door open for Arsenal. It was also an avoidable goal to concede. It's going to be a fascinating final day, but Newcastle wouldn't have taken that scenario before the season started. Of course, we'll be in that scenario. Last game of the season, winning in the Champions League, we all would have bit your hand off for that. Luke Edwards, again talking with a bit of bite, a bit of banter. Luke Edwards has gone out and say, to all the Arsenal fans in my mentions, you've lost 3 games to Newcastle this season, including the cup semi-final. They went out to win at Wembley. But well done on not winning anything again this season and finishing second in a title race that was over weeks ago. Lots of love to you all. That's what I mean. They were literally celebrating second place. Craig Hope's gone on to say Newcastle played well in the first half with a swagger, the second with a stagger. See what it's done there. Very good. It always felt like they've come to regret those missed chances, and Arsenal were always going to improve. Another game without Isaac and no win underlined his importance. Thought Bruno was good. Yeah, I agree on the Bruno. There's a couple of the journals mentions regarding Newcastle. So, we'll build up to Everton this week. We've got, obviously, a few videos I'm still doing here, as you can see, in my hotel room. I've got a graft at 12 o'clock, so I'm going to take the dog out for a little walk so he can do his business. I might stay in the hotel room, I might go to the lobby. I'm not sure yet. It's quite a big lobby here. If you can drop us a like, we'll have a look at your final comments before we wrap up, everybody. Let's have a little look. Any more have come through. Just one more. Alan says, Ash Young, who came on for an injured Coleman yesterday, is 40 in July. Surely we can get some joys down the flank on Sunday. Great point. Fantastic point. Because Coleman started, didn't it? And in one sense, I'm pleased that Everton, their last game is at home. Their second last game was at home, over the weekend. Because imagine if we were going to Goodison, we're not winning that game. The fairy tale of them leaving. I'm pleased it wasn't us. But there we go. That is your last word wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it. We've been live on Twitch. We've been live on YouTube. And of course, this is on audio platforms. Drop us a like. That would be lovely. Drop us 5-star if you listen on the podcast as well. But thanks for watching. Enjoy your day, everyone. See you later.